Prince Chidibert stood on the balcony of his palatial home, overlooking the lush gardens of the royal compound. His eyes, however, were not fixed on the meticulously manicured lawns or the colourful array of flowers. Instead, they followed the graceful figure of Adana, a maid who had captured his heart over the past few months. Adana moved with purpose, her slender frame bending as she tended to the plants. She was unaware of the prince's gaze, focused entirely on her work. Chidibert admired her dedication, a quality that had first drawn him to her. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the compound, Chidibert made his way down to the gardens. Adana looked up, startled by his approach. "Your Highness," she said, bowing her head respectfully. "Adana, please, when we're alone, call me Chidibert," he said softly, reaching out to touch her hand. She hesitated, then smiled. "Chidibert, what brings you to the gardens so late?" "You," he replied simply. "I wanted to see you before dinner." Adana's cheeks flushed, but her eyes sparkled with joy. "We must be careful. If anyone sees us—" "Let them see," Chidibert said boldly. "I love you, Adana. I don't want to hide it anymore." Adana's eyes widened. "But your parents, the king and queen, they would never approve." "Their approval doesn't matter to me. Only you do." As they stood there, hands intertwined, neither noticed the figure watching from a window above, Queen Alucci, her face a mask of disapproval. The next morning, Chidibert was summoned to his father's study. King Ezenwa sat behind an enormous desk, his expression stern. "Son, your mother tells me she saw you with one of the maids last night," he began without preamble. Chidibert straightened his shoulders. "Yes, father. Her name is Adana, and I love her." The king's fist came down hard on the desk. "Love? You are a prince. You cannot love a mere servant." "Why not?" Chidibert challenged. "She is kind, intelligent, and hard-working. What more could you want in a daughter-in-law?" "Family background for one," Queen Alucci interjected, entering the room. "Social standing, connections, things this girl cannot provide." Chidibert turned to his mother, pleading, "Mama, surely you, of all people, understand. Didn't you always tell me to follow my heart?" "I meant within reason, my son," Alucci replied, her voice softer but no less resolute. "There are expectations that come with your position. You cannot simply disregard them for infatuation." "It's not infatuation," Chidibert insisted. "I love her, truly and deeply." King Ezenwa rose from his chair, towering over his son. "Enough of this nonsense. You will end this dalliance immediately. We will begin arrangements for a suitable marriage at once." Chidibert felt a surge of defiance. "No, I won't. I intend to marry Adana, with or without your blessing." He stormed out of the study, leaving his parents in shocked silence. Over the next few weeks, tension in the royal household reached a fever pitch. Chidibert refused to entertain any marriage proposals, while Adana found herself the target of icy glares and whispered insults from other staff members. One evening, as Adana was finishing her duties in the kitchen, she was cornered by Queen Alucci. "Girl," the queen said, her voice dripping with disdain, "you must know this cannot continue." Adana straightened her back, meeting the queen's gaze. "With all due respect, Your Majesty, my feelings for the prince are genuine." "Feelings?" Alucci scoffed. "What do feelings matter in the face of duty and tradition? You're nobody from nowhere. How could you possibly stand beside my son as his wife?" Tears pricked at Adana's eyes, but she blinked them away. I may not have wealth or status, Your Majesty, but I have love, respect, and determination. Isn't that what truly matters? The Queen's expression softened for a moment before hardening once more. Love fades, girl, but shame and regret last forever. If you truly care for my son, you'll leave this place and never return. With that, she swept out of the kitchen, leaving Adana trembling. Later that night, Chiddy Bear found Adana in their secret meeting spot in the gardens. One look at her tear-stained face told him everything. What did they say to you? He demanded, pulling her into his arms. Adana buried her face in his chest. Perhaps they're right, Chiddy Bear. How can I bring you nothing but trouble and shame? No, he said fiercely, tilting her chin up to meet his gaze. You bring me joy, love, and purpose. That's worth more than any title or fortune. But your family. We'll make our own family, Chiddy Bear declared. Come, let's leave tonight. We'll start a new life, away from all of this. Adana's eyes widened. You'd give up everything? For me? You are everything to me, he replied, sealing his words with a kiss. As dawn broke, the royal compound was in an uproar. Prince Chiddy Bear and Adana were nowhere to be found. All that remained was a letter in the prince's chambers. Dear mother and father, I know you believe you're protecting me, but a life without love is no life at all. Adana has shown me what truly matters. We've left to build a life together on our own terms. I hope one day you'll understand and welcome us back with open arms. Until then, know that I love you, but I must follow my heart. Your son, Chiddy Bear. King. Ezenwa crumpled the letter in his fist, face red with anger. But Queen Aluchi placed a hand on his arm, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps, she said slowly, we've been too hasty in our judgment. Our son has shown courage and conviction. Qualities of a true leader, wouldn't you say? The king's anger deflated, replaced by a mix of pride and resignation. He is his mother's son after all, stubborn and romantic to a fault. Aluchi smiled. Then perhaps it's time we extend an olive branch. Family is family after all. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting new light on the royal compound, the king and queen began to see their son's choice in a different light. And somewhere, miles away, Chiddy Bear and Adana embarked on their new life together, their love having conquered barriers of class and tradition. Years passed, and Chiddy Bear and Adana built a modest life in their small village. Their love deepened, and they were blessed with a son, Namdi. The boy grew strong and kind, inheriting his father's leadership qualities and his mother's compassionate spirit. One day, a messenger arrived from the royal compound. King Ezenwa had fallen ill, and Queen Aluchi pleaded for Chiddy Bear's return. With heavy hearts, the family packed their belongings and journeyed back to the place Chiddy Bear once called home. Upon arrival, they found the kingdom in disarray. The king's illness had left a power vacuum, and various factions vied for control. Chiddy Bear, drawing on the wisdom he'd gained from his years among the common people, stepped in to stabilize the situation. As his father recovered, Chiddy Bear proved himself an adept leader. He implemented reforms that benefited both nobles and commoners, earning respect from all quarters. Adana, once scorned as a mere maid, now used her understanding of the people's needs to advise on social policies. Young Namdi thrived in this new environment. He forged friendships with children from all walks of life, bridging the gap between social classes. His natural charm and intelligence made him beloved by the people and the court alike. Months turned into years, and King Ezenwa, seeing the positive changes brought about by his son's return, made a momentous decision. He announced his intention to abdicate, naming Chidibert as his successor. The night before the coronation, Chidibert found himself on the same balcony where he had once watched Adana in the gardens. She joined him, sensing his troubled thoughts. "Are you having second thoughts?" she asked softly. Chidibert sighed. "I never wanted this power, Adana. We were happy in our village." She took his hand. "True, but think of the good we can do here, the lives we can improve." He smiled, drawing strength from her wisdom as he always had. "You're right, of course, but I don't want to lose sight of where we came from." The next day, as Chidibert was crowned king with Adana as his queen, he made a surprising proclamation. "While I accept this great responsibility," he announced, "I vow to never forget my roots. Each year, my family and I will return to our village, to live and work alongside the people. For how can a king truly lead if he doesn't understand the lives of those he governs?" This decision, radical as it was, cemented Chidibert's reputation as a people's monarch. In the years that followed, the annual royal retreat became a beloved tradition. The people saw their king not as a distant figure, but as one of their own, who had risen to great heights. Namdi, growing into a fine young man, embraced this dual life. In the village, he worked the fields and learned traditional crafts. In the palace, he studied governance and diplomacy. This unique upbringing shaped him into a prince unlike any other, with a profound understanding of all his future subjects. As Chidibert and Adana watched their son grow, they marveled at the journey that had brought them here. From secret meetings in the garden to ruling a kingdom, their love had remained constant, a beacon guiding them through every challenge. Their story became legend, the prince and the maid who defied convention, left everything behind, and returned to lead with compassion and wisdom. It served as a reminder that true love knows no boundaries, and that the most powerful changes often begin with a single, courageous choice.